Some rules are not meant to be broken. Some doors are not meant to be opened. And some questions are never, ever meant to be asked. This is the story of a question that could get you killed. Every city has its ghosts. In a place like New York, with millions of stories stacked on top of each other, the whispers of the past are everywhere. But this isn't a story from the distant past. This happened in our time. It unfolded, tweet by terrifying tweet, for the entire world to see. This story was sent to us by a woman named Sarah, a longtime viewer from Queens. She was a close friend of the man at the center of this storm, Adam Ellis. She told us that while the world saw the tweets, they didn't see the full picture. The sleepless nights, the raw fear, the moments he was too terrified to post online. She gave us access to his private notes and audio logs, wanting the complete, chilling truth to be told. Our story takes place here, in an ordinary apartment, lived in by an ordinary man. A man whose life was about to become a viral nightmare. Adam Ellis was a cartoonist and illustrator, known for his witty and relatable comics for BuzzFeed. He was a creature of logic and humor. His world was one of deadlines, coffee, and the comforting presence of his two cats, Maxwell and Pepper. He lived on the top floor of a building that was over a century old, but to him, the creaks and groans were just part of its New York charm. His life was stable, creative, and grounded in the tangible reality of modern city life. Ghosts, spirits, the paranormal. That was stuff for movies, for late-night campfire stories. It had no place in his world. Or so he believed. The first crack in his reality was subtle. It began with the cats. Around midnight, every single night, they would gather at the front door. They wouldn't scratch or meow. They would just sit there, staring, as if waiting for someone to come in. At first, he brushed it off. An odd feline quirk. But then came the dreams. It was the same dream, night after night. He was in a vast, empty warehouse. He'd hear a noise and turn to see a small green rocking chair. A child was sitting in it, motionless. Adam couldn't see the child's face clearly, but he knew one thing with a chilling certainty. The child was sick. Very sick. One night, the dream changed. A girl appeared. She approached him, her face grim. She pointed at the boy in the chair and said, "That's David. He's dead. He only appears at midnight, and you can ask him 2 questions, if you say, 'Dear David,' first." Adam felt a cold dread wash over him, even in the dream. The girl leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "But never, ever try to ask him a 3rd question, or he'll kill you." It was no longer just a dream. Something had followed him into the waking world. A few nights later, Adam was jolted from sleep into a state of pure terror. Sleep paralysis. His mind was awake, but his body was a lead weight. He couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't scream. He was a prisoner in his own flesh, his eyes darting around the moonlit room. And that's when he saw him. It was David, the boy from his dream. The horrifying dent in his head, a detail Adam had never consciously imagined, was now starkly visible. He just sat there, rocking, watching Adam with unseen eyes. The paralysis felt like an eternity, a lifetime spent staring at the impossible, monstrous thing in his room. He took photos, videos. He set up nanny cams. He was no longer just a cartoonist. He was an investigator in his own home, hunting a ghost with a smartphone. The activity escalated. Objects moved. The cats would hiss at thin air. He'd leave the apartment and come back to find things slightly out of place. He started taking photos of his apartment before he left, just to be sure. He was documenting a haunting in real time. "Dude, this is a great story, you should write a book." But it's fake. The cat probably moved the toy. Stop trying so hard. Adam's text. "Chris, you saw the video of the chair. You can't explain that." Chris's text. "It's an old building, man. A draft. Or maybe the floor is uneven. You're not sleeping. You're letting this get to you." Adam's text. "So I'm crazy? Is that it?" Chris's text. "I'm just worried, dude. This isn't healthy. This is the second fear. The fear of isolation. Adam was living in a nightmare, and the people closest to him thought he was either lying or losing his mind. He was completely, utterly alone with his ghost. Desperate for concrete proof, Adam set up an app to silently photograph his room while he slept. For weeks, he'd wake up and scrub through thousands of photos of him sleeping. Nothing. He was about to give up. Then, one morning, he found it. It was a fluke. A shadow. It had to be. But a few nights later, it happened again. This time, David didn't stay at the foot of the bed. He was moving, stalking him in his sleep. Adam fled his bedroom, sleeping on the couch for a week, too terrified to go back. But David wasn't confined to one room. One night, while working late in the living room, he thought he heard a noise in the hallway. He raised his phone, his hands shaking, and took a photo into the darkness. There he was. Undeniable. Unmistakable. David was real. And he was in Adam's apartment. The photo broke the final barrier. David was no longer hiding in the shadows or in blurry images. Taking his picture was an invitation. The power cut out. The apartment fell into a thick, suffocating silence, broken only by a sound that made Adam's blood run cold. He was coming. "Dear Adam," he spoke. His voice was a dry, rattling whisper, the sound of a throat that hadn't been used in decades. Adam was frozen, a scream caught in his throat. This was it. The moment of truth. He had two questions. His life could depend on them. But before he could speak, David asked his own question. What happened in the store? The question hit Adam like a physical blow. The store. The warehouse from his dreams. It wasn't just a dream. It was a memory. David's memory. He was showing Adam how he died. The official story was that David had died in an accident. A heavy shelf fell on him. But that wasn't the truth. It wasn't an accident. He was pushed. David wasn't a malevolent demon trying to kill a random stranger. He was the ghost of a murdered child, trapped by his own trauma, unable to move on because his story was never told. He wasn't haunting Adam to harm him. He was drawn to him for a reason. Adam had a secret trauma of his own, something he never talked about. A younger brother he had lost to a sudden illness years ago. A grief he had buried deep inside. David wasn't drawn to the apartment. He was drawn to Adam's grief. He found a kindred spirit, someone who understood loss. He wasn't trying to kill Adam with a third question. The rule was a warning, a memory of his own death. The third question, the third action, the final shove, is what had killed him. Adam said, "It wasn't your fault." "I'm so sorry, David. I'm so sorry for what happened to you." Compassion was the answer, not a question. Empathy was the key that finally set the lost boy free. After that night, David was gone. The strange occurrences stopped. The cats returned to normal. The fear that had gripped the apartment for months finally lifted. Adam Ellis eventually moved out, seeking a fresh start, but he was forever changed by his time with the ghost of Dear David. So what was Dear David? A ghost seeking justice? A poltergeist feeding on fear? Or was he something more? A psychic projection of Adam's own grief, given form and a story by the old creaking bones of his New York City apartment? Perhaps some things aren't meant to be ghosts or psychology, but a tragic meeting of the two in the lonely spaces of our world. The question that remains is not for David, but for you. Have you ever experienced something you simply cannot explain? A whisper in an empty room, a shadow in the corner of your eye? Share your own true ghost story in the comments below. We read every single one. And if there's a haunted place you think we need to investigate next, let us know. The world is full of whispers. We're here to listen. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, so you don't miss our next descent into the unexplained. Stay safe out there.